What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Mr. Dan here as always. And of course, if it's Monday, it's time for another Martial Arts Monday review. This week, we're going to take a look at the 1969 film Return of the One Armed Swordsman, which is only appropriate because last week on the channel, I reviewed the One Armed Swordsman. And that review did quite well. I appreciate all the views. If you haven't seen that review, go ahead and check it out. But also, go back and check out reviews like the one I did the week before for a lesser-known film, The Awakened Punch, a.k.a. Fury of the Black Belt. I'm trying to highlight some classic films, but also some lesser-known ones. And both films, The One Armed Swordsman and The Return of the One Armed Swordsman, star Jimmy Wang Yu as our one-armed hero, Fang Gang, Lisa Chow Chow as Xiao Man, his wife. By the time of the second film, she becomes his wife. Both films are directed by Chang Che. Both films have martial arts choreography by Lau Kar Leung and Tong Kai. And both of those actors and a host of others, and I mean an absolute host of others, appear in the sequel. This film, I mean, everybody who is up and coming in the martial arts movie world for Shaw Brothers appears in this film. It appears. David Chang, who would, of course, go on to star in the next installment. The new One Armed Swordsman is in this. His frequent collaborator, T. Lung, is in this. Ku Feng returns from the first film, playing a different part. And, yeah, this film is just packed full of future veterans of the genre. And what I like about it is, I wasn't sure, but this is actually a direct sequel to the first film. A lot of times seeing the word return in the title does not guarantee that. You know, they would like The Return of the 18 Bronzemen. They kind of rework some of the ideas from the first film. Carter Wong, who was the hero of the first film, comes back as a different character, and you have a much less satisfying film. But this is a direct sequel. So when it picks up, we have our heroes, Fang Gang and Xiao Man, just trying to live their lives, but you know that that's not going to happen. And right away, they are approached by the Black Swordsman and the White Swordsman. And the White Swordsman is played by Wu Ma, who would go on to direct and star in many martial arts classics. And they leave an invitation to a tournament being held by the 8 Demon Swordsmen, which is kind of like a motley crew of martial arts schools. Perhaps the motliest crew you've ever seen. And the White Swordsman, you know, his face is all pasty white. Once they get taken care of, you know, a few scenes into the movie, the rest of the good guys will be in white, and then most of the bad guys will be in black, which kind of makes it easy. And as they mentioned in the commentary, also makes the blood kind of stand out. There's a commentary on this film by Sam Dean. That's the way I'll pronounce it. That's the way it's spelled. But she did an excellent job of breaking this film down. And yes, this is another film in the bloody direction that Chang Che was going into. So after Fang Gang declines the invitation to participate in this tournament, some friendly faces show up, Master Lu and his sons, and they basically explain the predicament that everyone's been given an ultimatum. You have to attend or else. And it turns out what the or else is in a very clever twist on the whole one arm concept. Oh, you can just leave one of your arms here as tribute to us if you don't want to participate in the tournament. I mean, I thought that, I mean, it's really clever the way they do that. So you can either be dead or minus one arm. And there's actually no tournament depicted in the film. The tournament itself is just a ruse. But I think Jimmy Wang Yu would take this idea of a tournament and run with it in later films like Master of the Flying Guillotine. So it's interesting. So essentially, Fang Gang just tries not to, he does not want to get involved. But as these different martial arts schools are traveling to the place where the 8 Demon Swordsmen are holding this tournament, they are ambushed one after the other. And there's just a crazy cast of characters in this film. You've got the Furtive King, who hides underground, the Hercules King, who is strong, the Poisonous Dragon King, I'll let you figure that one out, the Spinning Wheels King, the Flying Fighter King, the Hell's Buddha King, the Ape's Arm King, which I believe is Lau Kar Leung here with these sort of giant grappling hooks. And then you have one of the most interesting ones, the 1,000 Hands King, which is actually played by Essie Lin Chia. So sometimes she is referred to as the 1,000 Hands Queen. And she looks very sweet and innocent. And she's the only one that kind of uses psychological warfare too. Everybody else is just jumping out of bushes and out of the ground and flying through the air and attacking you. But she uses her feminine charm to sort of lure you into a false sense of security, acting like she's being besieged by bandits and so forth. And in the folds of her clothing, she's got like just all kinds of different bladed weapons that she can deploy. So our hero is basically caught up in this because one of the other sort of protagonists is so desperate to rescue his father, who is imprisoned by the 8 demon swordsmen, because that's what happens. A lot of the leaders of these different martial arts schools are taken prisoner. Okay, so then their cohorts and their kids are going to try to free them, and one of the guys rashly sort of takes Xiao Man hostage, almost like forcing Fang Gang's hand. It's just, that's how desperate they are. And so he, of course, gets involved, and there's just one martial arts battle after another with all kinds of crazy weapons. I mean, the spinning blades are just awesome. These grappling hook things are awesome. You know, somebody gets hooked with these like right under his shoulder blades and hoisted up into a tree. People have nets thrown on them and are essentially hacked to death. This is a pretty bloody film, and very entertaining. And it really comes down to a pretty satisfying conclusion. And the 8 demon swordsmen are led by the Unseen King, which kind of reminds me of the what was his name? The long-armed devil from the first film, whose face you didn't see for much of the film, and the same goes for this film. And they also make it a point to tell Fang Gang, hey, we don't know who he is, and we don't know what kind of weapons he uses, and that kind of worries Fang Gang a little bit, because this film is all about the weapons. So is his short sword going to be enough to counter whatever weapon the Unseen King has? And it turns out, though I won't say what the weapon is, but it's kind of modular. It can change shape as the fight goes on. It's really kind of clever. This is a wild one. I mean, it's just packed with action nonstop. It's a total bloodbath. You know, and when I mean, some of it's a little quaint. You know, they throw the spears or the swords or whatever, and then they cut to them already impaled in the bodies. Oftentimes people are fighting with these swords and so forth sticking out of them. It's pretty wild. And if you're not used to the flying ability, and I mean flying ability of some of these fighters, that's going to throw you off. I wasn't a fan of all of the wire work. The jumping up onto a 3-story building is fine, but sometimes, and I'm going to use an alien figure here, Xenomorph, to demonstrate, but some of the flying, you know, guys would come down like this and almost bounce in the air and spin around. And there's a fight in a bamboo forest, which is where they do that, and basically make a cage out of bamboo. It's pretty wild, but it's just highly entertaining, and you definitely have to check it out. I highly recommend The Return of the One Armed Swordsman. Have you seen this martial arts classic? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. And listen, if Jimmy Wang Yu wasn't a huge star after the first film, this film really solidifies it. He's fantastic again in the role of Fang Gang. And thanks a lot. Let me know if you guys have seen this, and come back next week. Who knows? Let me know if you guys want me to keep going and just do the new One Armed Swordsman next week, or do you want me to mix it up with a different film? Okay, thanks a lot. Later.